Waiting for, oh, everybody came up. Good. Okay. We are streaming. Let's do this.
Are you ready for the feed?
We are ready to rock and roll.
Sending the feed your way. Have a
Thank
great
you.
show.
Thank you. We will. Right,
Thanks.
everybody? We will. Santa Claus is here. Chuck didn't
I
hear
have a
that.
Santa hat right there.
Okay, Jordan, we're ready. Jordan, where's my music? There we go.
Just minutes away. Welcome to Technology Revolution, the future of now. Where host Bonnie D. Graham asks savvy futurists for their predictions about the tech-driven trends that are shaping our future right now. Here's your host, who will take us into the future of now, Bonnie D. Graham.
Bonnie D in the house. We missed part of the intro, but we are here. This is week 1 of my 5. This week, we're only doing 5 weeks this year. 5-week crystal ball predictions. We're talking about AI 2025 and beyond. And I am amazed that this is my 10th annual crystal ball prediction series. And I will tell you that these shows are my longest shelf life of all the shows I do, 50 live shows a year, even from years ago. These are still getting listeners. So to my esteemed panel of futurists, just be aware that what you say may have, people may be quoting you 3, 4, 5, 10 years in the future. So I want you to all be careful. So I'm going to open. I want to say a shout out to my engineer, Jordan, who's been with me most of this year, and Matt as well at Voice America. And I appreciate you. And we've got Santa Claus here, and he will have his predictions in just a few minutes. He's second online. So let me just tell you that the Cambridge Dictionary's word of the year for 2024, believe it or not, is manifest. I don't know if you knew that. And it's because of its use in visualization and affirmation to imagine what you want and believe it will happen. And I thought that was appropriate because we're predicting AI and maybe we have some wish lists in there. The word was looked up only 130,000 times on the Cambridge Dictionary website, which surprised me. I thought it would be like 1 million. I know, Martin, it's like, that's not really popular, is it? And they attributed it to celebrities and social media influencers. And I want to tell you that in 2023, a year ago, Bill Gates made a prediction about AI. He said we are 18 to 24 months away from significant levels of AI use by the general population. And we've seen an explosion of ChatGPT this year, right? Looking ahead, there's a CEO of a company called Hugging Face named Clem DeLong. Serge, that's French, of the tongue, DeLong. An AI development platform and user community. He has millions of users. Listen to this. He expects the first major public protest related to AI next year. Okay, just put that in your hat and sit on it. He predicts at least 100,000 personal AI robots will be ordered. Oh my goodness, I haven't ordered mine. Martin, have you ordered yours yet? Sherryanne's got hers on order. There will be AI
my robot vacuum.
Good. There will be AI breakthroughs in biology and chemistry. Aparna, this is for you. Research like drug molecule discovery. And his company's user base is likely to rise to 15 million AI builders, up from 2024's 7 million. So he's seeing good things. Whatever he's doing a hug with, that's fine. So now let me read my opening, and I have a little poem for each of you. Welcome to Technology Revolution Crystal Ball Week 1 Bright, peering at AI 2025 and beyond in an optimistic light. Remember, no doom and gloom. Bonnie D, that's me, host in her Scarlet Mike's live streaming hue. You all see the hue around me? With a cadre of futurists unpacking their predictions for you. With AI as their compass, opportunities as their sail. We're on the sea now. Will their foresights triumph or perhaps just not prevail? Oh no, raise your cup or flute with Java, Jack, Dom, or Earl on Bonnie D's Crystal Ball Special. The future will unfurl. Continuing December 11th and 18th, January 8th and 15th, wishing you happy holidays and happy new year in between. Here we go. Raise your hand and wave when I call on you. Martin Stenzig brings insights on tech and more, driving innovation so business processes soar. An advisor with wisdom and tech transformation, he's exploring AI's future application. I hope you like that, Martin. And then we have Chuck Byers with his new Santa look, a visionary on a quest. He puts drones and AI through the most stringent test, from edge computing to drone delivery high, with at least 135 patents. His innovations reach for the sky. There you go, Chuck. We'll count them later with you. Sherryanne Meyer is here. I get to call her Sherry. She leads HR with humanistic care in 27 countries, simplifying tech with flair. making complex topics easy to pursue. Her mission, ensure the workforce benefits too. And we thank you for that, Sherryanne. Jason Palmatier is here. He writes Futures Wild, where tech and humanities blend beguiled. From comics to tales of society shift, Jason's stories show where tech might drift. Ooh. Serge Hoffmann is with us. His journey spans music and tech, creativity and passion in every career. Check. From Disney and Formula One to Cirque du Soleil's grand play, his melodies reach hearts in a magical way. Welcome, Serge. Bienvenue. Aparna Seksaria is with us, solving with flair. Pharma's puzzles, she lays them bare. Driving clouds and AI spark for agile chains and futures mark. There you go, Aparna, welcome. And then we have Chiara Bersano, adaptable and bright in HR tech. She is a guiding light. With skills like a Swiss Army knife in her hand, she re-envisions HR in a data-driven land. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to start off. I hope everybody enjoyed your poems. Yes, they were good. I'm very, very glad. They were a redux of when the last time you were on the show recently, some of you as recently as a few weeks ago. So let's go and start with Martin, you're up. I'm putting you on speaker view. Take about 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you got. Let's hear your predictions. And if anybody has any comments, you know the deal. If you have how many fingers, I don't count them, but not the middle finger. Wiggle a finger at me and I will call you for a quick comment. It could be a rebuttal. It could be a, yes, I think you're right. Or are you joking? What were you smoking this morning? Whatever you want to say. So Martin, you're up first. Go ahead. Welcome.
I like the fireworks. Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me again, Bonnie. Always great to be on your show. No, my prediction is that we will see a major revolution that will manifest itself in the large enterprise IT space over the next 5 years, especially in what I call the as-is documentation. So we've seen that large language models are very good with text. And what we've also seen is that developers never really want to do any documentation on their projects to begin with. So in order to shrink down project timelines, make projects more efficient, what I think we will see is that we'll step away from manually creating any sort of documentation for as-is or delivered projects. But what we will have is essentially the let's call it the easy button for project documentation that you can call when it's required. So what I have seen in projects that you come in 5 years after the initial implementation and the documentation is still sort of based on the original rollout. But during the 5 years, there were various modifications that have never been documented. So in order to circumvent that and use the power of AI, what I think will happen is that we all in the enterprise business space will look at implementation projects and say, hey, generative AI can generate that documentation for me whenever somebody needs that documentation, rather than having a big line item in a Gantt chart that says, okay, now, project is done. We need another 3 or 4 weeks in order to document everything with 200 people. So I think that will go away. And I think it's great for the industry. It's great for developers. They can now focus on what they always wanted to do in Agile, which is the development and the core product. And the documentation is probably also getting much better along the way. So all of those benefits, I think, is something we'll see in the next 3 to 5 years.
Will it be like Cliff Notes, Martin? Will it be just a quick agile? No. I can use that word again. It'll be deeper, right?
Oh yeah, no. The good news is that generative AI is already much better at analyzing the details of code, and then can also give you essentially a line-by-line analysis of what's actually happening here. So my assumption is that not only will there be documentation that is doing that, but you will also see security investigation, i.e., somebody's not putting an Easter egg into their code, in those kinds of analysis. So all of that can happen pretty much on the fly as part of, the deployment of a piece of code, or, the reassessment of what was that person actually trying to do here when they wrote this piece of code, which we've had, in a lot of industries.
So if a manager says, I want that report on my desk in 10 minutes, you say, okay.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be nice? No
With
more
pleasure.
charrettes. Anybody remember the word charrette? It means an overnight, a push. I think it's a drafting term, an
charrette.
architecture. Yeah,
Yep.
a charrette. Yep. No more charrettes. You get to actually sleep that night. Thank you very much, Martin. Anybody have any comments on Martin?
Well, I love that because I could never get anyone to do documentation on any project I ever worked on. So, from your lips to God's ears, Martin.
Martin, do you have anything else? That was short and sweet. You got another one for, are you going to be using AI in your beekeeping hobby? I know you have bees.
Yeah, actually, there's an app that I'm thinking about. I haven't had the time to it. It would be an AI app, and it's based on frequencies. So bees, when they're getting really angry and mad at you as a beekeeper, they change their frequency, and I as a beekeeper can hear it, but the normal person can't. So what if we could put an app onto, my iWatch that essentially analyzes whether or not that bee is a quote unquote friendly bee that's just buzzing around, or whether or not she's mad. I can tell the difference. I know when to run and then try to keep up. But for the regular person that is freaking out when just a bee arrives, especially bees, you can literally tell the difference whether or not it's a happy bee or a mad bee, and mad bees can be really bad. So
Yeah.
Well, I'm a happy Bonnie BD. Serge wants to say something because he's talking to plants with music. So AI, Serge, go ahead. Talk to Martin for
I'm
a
not
minute.
talking. I'm taking the signals from the plants and compose music on top of that. But
Okay.
Martin, I was thinking maybe we can take offline and discuss how I could help you with the frequencies. I have a lot of tools and that could deliver any type of frequency that you can imagine. Then maybe we could engage kind of how could I say exchange with the bees somehow, right?
Exciting.
Phenomenal.
Interesting in terms of
I was just punting
communication.
because I had Martin on my Cool Dude show and I learned that he is a beekeeper. And I thought his predictions, we need more. You didn't use your 4 minutes. So I said, what about the bees and AI? And look what happened. People meet people on my shows. I've had people who are guests who connected afterwards. They're writing books together. They're doing projects together. They're raising funds for projects together. So talk to each other. This is great. You all have each other's email. Delightful. Chuck Byers, Santa is here. You have to forgive me. I've never seen you with facial hair, and it's wonderful. I really like it. Putting you on speaker view, I will be quiet now. Chuck, why don't you regale us with your predictions? Go ahead.
Happy to, and thanks, Bonnie, and hi to the folks watching at home. Hope you enjoy these adventures. I tend to be a hardware geek, talk a lot about electronics, so here's sort of bias towards predictions in that space. First of all, AI is going to be integrated seamlessly into lots of devices: transportation, electrical distribution, smart buildings, manufacturing, healthcare. All those markets are going to see pretty much everything with a battery or a power cord have some level of AI included in it. And all those devices are going to talk to each other. So, my watch could be whispering to my garage door opener or whatever. That kind of thing is inevitable, and I think highly beneficial if done appropriately. In order to support all of this AI everywhere that we're looking at, we're going to have to build a lot more data centers. Maybe doubling or even tripling the number of data centers, and a lot more than that factor in terms of the capacity of power into those data centers. So power grid capacity is going to be a huge problem. You may have heard some rumblings about them restarting the 3 Mile Island reactors in order to power nothing but data centers. They're going to take that whole reactor that used to power a big piece of Pennsylvania. No, we're not going to power Pennsylvania. We're going to power a little cluster of data centers, like chicks cuddled under the hen, right around 3 Mile Island. There's 3 or 4 of those to be decommissioned nuclear reactors that have been rescued from the scrap heap to do that. Places you can't do that and you still need a data center, they're going to build gas turbines, basically jet engines with generators on the end, and they'll put them in the back parking lot of these data centers and use natural gas to make that work. Much better than burning coal, but not as good as renewables or nuclear power. And then finally, we'll have, starting probably next year, we'll see a trial of a technology called small modular reactors, where they have these tiny little nuclear reactors that you just kind of bury out in the backyard, and it can run your whole data center for 10-year fuel cycles or something like that. Quite amazing. There's about a dozen companies in the world doing that, and a couple close to Nuclear Regulatory Commission approval. We might see the first SMR construction start in the coming year. We got all this energy going into these big servers full of NVIDIA GPUs and AMD chips. What happens to that energy? Well, it turns into heat, and we have to have new ways to get the heat out of the data centers, and we're going to do that with immersion cooling. So we're basically going to dip the whole thing in dielectric liquid, and then we're going to suck the heat into the liquid, and then we could actually use the heat from that liquid to, heat a greenhouse or dehydrate our tomatoes or whatever we want to do with that extra heat. So that would be very cool. There might be some capacity problems with all of these really advanced chips. There's only so many manufacturers of these billion-dollar wafer fabs in the world that can build them. And I would expect that there's going to be some competition on who gets the prime spots in manufacturing capacity there. And that might drive the price of these things up a little bit. I think that generative AI, in particular, the conversational AIs like the one that Bonnie talks about chatting with all the time, going to get to the point in the next year or two where it will pass the Turing test. And if you don't know what that is, look up Alan Turing. It basically is, can you tell the difference between a human and an AI based on having a conversation through a keyboard or through a voice synthesizer? And I think that for around 90% of the conversational AIs out there, they're going to get good enough that at least for limited subject matter experts, they'll pass the Turing test. And you will not know whether that's a human or not. I mean, ask it its middle name. They always fail on that one. But otherwise, it may be difficult to figure out what's going on. We got a bit of a perfect storm brewing in the conjunction of lots of emerging technologies. And I'll just flip them out there. AI, Internet of Things, digital twins, the AI, VR, metaverse kind of virtual reality stuff, autonomous robots, edge computing, various kinds of advanced healthcare technologies, various kinds of smart space and architecture technologies, and basically the full digital transformation of all the enterprises. All these things kind of feed off of each other and merge into a fully connected planet that hopefully is going to be a better place to live in. One non-electronics, non-AI prediction is a bonus. I think we will see a launch date commitment for a space station that has artificial gravity. And I think we're going to see that in the air, certainly by the end of the decade, but I think we'll start welding that up in the next year.
Wait a minute, you don't get a pass on that one. What is artificial gravity? Everybody's saying, what? Sherry's saying, is this going to come to a place near me?
2001: A Space Odyssey, the famous Stanley Kubrick movie. Yeah. Basically what you do is you build a thing that looks like a bicycle wheel and you spin it, and everything in it gets sucked to the outside of this thing. So you have this big circular concourse, and you can just keep walking all the way around over the top and around the bottom because the gravity always goes from the hub of the thing out. And I have a sketch pad design for one that uses 12 launches of the SpaceX, what they call their Starship heavy cargo rocket. And I think that you can launch about 12 missions from Texas, is where their launch pad is. And you can have enough piece parts to build an artificial gravity space station capable of supporting about 200 people.
Wow. Well, I'm just fighting gravity because I balance and all of that. I don't want gravity to be any more than it already is.
It's just the coolest thing ever if they can make it work. There's certain weirdness about it, but yeah, I think it's going to happen eventually.
Now, Chuck, we need breaking news. Go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead,
Sherry. Zodiac ride I think they call it the Zodiac. I can't handle it. Everybody stands around the outside of a big circle, and then it spins, and it's throwing you back against the
centripetal acceleration. If you go to Disney World, Mission Space does the same thing. They basically pull you out this way, and then they make you think that the gravity is eliminated as a result of that. It's something that you could live in, and of course, depending upon how fast you spin it, you could have full Earth gravity or half Earth gravity like Mars, or a third Earth gravity like the Moon, or twice Earth gravity if you wanted to do like Olympic training. You could really abuse them for a couple of weeks and spin the thing a little faster, and actually, you'd weigh 400 pounds if you were on the thing, and that would be excellent for training. Not very good for anything else.
Not very good for anything else. Chuck, a pressing question. In my bio intro for you in the poem, I said you have about or at least 135 patents. You want to give us an update? Where are you now?
Yeah, I think we got a couple more since I last talked to you. So I think it's around 137 right now, and around 13 additional ones pending. So, I might just get around 150 and do a mic drop and call that enough for my career.
I don't think you will. I don't think
I
you
don't think
will
I
at
will
all.
either, but I could.
No, no, no. Just get some sleep in between. Thank you very much. That was exciting.
Thanks,
Let's get
everybody.
off the gravity ride here. Sherryanne, you're up. I can call you Sherryanne. We're being formal today. I'm putting you on speaker
Call me
view, my
Sherryanne.
dear. Go
Uh,
ahead and just regale us. What do you got?
I feel like this is boring compared to what I just heard. But
No.
I always talk about the trifecta of people, processes, and technology, and people are the foundation of everything. So despite what the rumors are out there that people are going to be replaced by robots and everything, they're not going to be replaced. I think several different things are going to happen. First of all, I am manifesting for a more human work.
She used the word of the year. And wait a minute. Wait, hold on, hold on. Everybody give a round of applause for Sherry. She used the word of a year. I didn't even give a homework assignment, but she did. Bravo. Okay, Sherry, go ahead. Go ahead.
HR has always wanted a seat at the table, but they're bogged down in compliance and, managing things for other people. If they really want a seat at the table, they need to start sharing their data across the entire business, get their heads out of just doing that compliance, and start to use AI to bring concepts together to manage the whole business and to really manage the people, not just headcount, not just compliance. And I think that's possible with AI if they use it well and they use it smartly to really streamline and eliminate tasks. There's so many tasks in HR, so many phone calls to be answered. If HR will really embrace the possibilities of AI, which means they have to have a good foundation in technology, if they will really do that, then I think that there's a lot of possibilities for HR to become people managers instead of compliance managers. The other thing I see definitely happening is jobs are changing. Like perhaps some of the lower level jobs will go away. Perhaps that will happen, but we still need people. People feed AI, right? And the interesting thing that you see even now out there in the job market is that AI firms are hiring people to do things like validate things that are coming out of AI, or to do content evaluation, or to do natural language processing on it, so that, as we talked about before, when the AI or chat GPT is giving us an answer, it can really sound more human. So I do think there's always humans at the foundation of things. And I think if we don't pay attention to that, which is, we're real excited right now about AI and chat GPT, but I think that we'll come back to the thought that everything that's in AI and chat GPT, we humans. And so as a result, we need to keep taking care of the humans.
I like that.
Sorry about that. My phone started ringing.
That's fine. Go ahead.
And the last thing I would say is that we haven't really seen IT and HR very much holding hands. And I think that is absolutely essential for the future. In fact, when you look at your C-suite, we bring all the C-level executives together, but do they really cooperate, collaborate to make things more efficient, to make things better for the company? Often they're very turf oriented, but I think that in order for AI to be successful, we're going to have to see more of that. We're going to have to see more integration and more collaboration, not just of the technology, but of the people too, of our leaders.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the day when people will stop using, I'm not saying stop using your ChatGPT, Claude, whatever your LLM is, to work on your resume, to bring it up to date, to make it more storytelling. But I look forward to the day when people will stop allowing their resumes to include the superlatives. The most extraordinary, the best award winning,
Yes.
the most prolific, everything. And I can tell right away, Chuck, when I get bios for some of my radio shows, I can tell who used AI because they all sound the same and they all have the EST words, the best, the brightest, the most productive. And after a while, it's like, well, slap a different name on it, you got the same thing. I always ask people for their origin story. You really can't fake that when you're talking about where you grew up or whether you went to the movies or whether you had a great science teacher. So I ask for a non-marketing bio. And I think I cut through some of that, but I can tell. And I don't see it as much recently, but is everybody here using AI for their resume? Tell me the truth.
I am not yet, but Chiara did give me a good suggestion
Yes.
how to trick the system.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind, I'll share.
Please.
that if you see a job that you really want, you take the keywords out of that job and you put them into your resume in hidden text. Because the
How do you do
AI
that?
reader will read it, but the human eye won't see that. So you can just
How
like
do you do hidden text? What do you do?
there's a setting in Word, for example, to just highlight the text and make it hidden.
I didn't know that.
Mhm.
See? Go on my show and you learn some new
However,
techniques.
I've been too lazy to do that yet, Chiara, so I haven't done it. But
You
I
can
mean,
also
there
just
are
change the
ways.
font color to white. And
But does
The
it
font
leave
coloring
spaces
white
then?
is the most common.
oh,
Really? Does it leave spaces though when you're reading it? Is there a black? It
Well, you
doesn't. No.
can fill in the margins. You could put that like text boxes in the margins or
there's all
something.
kinds of ways to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you know, and if, especially if you give them a PDF, I don't think they
Right.
can ever see it.
They wouldn't see it.
Interesting. Gaming everything. Okay.
Game
Thank you.
on.
That game on. That's it. Game changers. There we are. Jason Palmatier, so happy to have you here, our author in residence today. So why don't you, first of all, tell everybody a little bit about what you do, because I don't think you've met everybody else here on the panel, and then give us your predictions. Jason, welcome.
Okay, thank you for having me on the show, Mike. So I write speculative fiction, so essentially sci-fi, and I generally work on social sci-fi. So I write stories about not how technology works, but if this technology existed, how would it affect society in the future? And so I ended up on Bonnie's show because of a short story that I wrote that won Writers of the Future award, and it was an AI short story. And so most of all my short stories are far future, but I'll give some predictions today that are like closer in. So the first one, since I'm a writer, is I think there'll be AI editors very soon. I think there are some now, but I think it'll become very common to have an AI editor because part of the thing that got me to thinking about this was that there's a college here in town, and I've looked at a couple of the syllabuses, and they say, well, you need to have before you submit a paper, you need to run it through spell checker, which I'm like, of course. But then they also said Grammarly, and when I first heard that, I was like, really? I mean, like that seems like it's cheating. But these are not English courses; these are like science courses, and so they don't really care if you know how to write an English, proper English. They just want to see a nice paper and see the content of it. And that got me thinking, well, then in the future, I would assume that they would want you to do the next step, which is if there's an AI editor that can look at your paper and say, oh, this content doesn't belong in there. You don't have a topic sentence to start this paragraph, and the supporting sentences don't, mesh with it, that they're going to want you to do that too. So I think that's going to be fairly common fairly soon. And then as it applies to fiction writing, it would be great to have an AI editor that when I'm done with a story, I can throw the story at it and it can send me back an annotated copy that says, this paragraph doesn't make sense, didn't understand this. And given that it's AI can analyze large data, novels like nothing to it, right? So it can check it and figure out if you have a correct plot arc and if the characters have story arcs, all that kind of stuff. And essentially improve your writing without having to, kind of like what Sherry was saying. People don't want to do things like documentation, and people don't want to, they don't have time to like read your story and give you feedback. But an AI can do it super fast. And so I think it fills this gap where people don't have the time to do it, but an AI can do it really easily. And in that same vein, just stuff that happened this week, I think there'll be AI lawyers that because again, that's law is something where you got to know a lot of stuff and you kind of coalesce that down. And that's your value as a lawyer is that you can do that. So AI, that's a big data set of laws and stuff that they can do to give you at least a first answer to your question. Then it can take to a human lawyer. The other one too is IRS. Of all the places that get backlogged and have giant amounts of data coming in at one time and they got to do it. It's like, well, if you could have AI IRS agents that just look at the forms and say, everything looks good. They already do that to flag it, but it's an algorithm. Whereas an AI could be smart about it and really delve into it. And then if you could call up the IRS and have your own personal AI agent that you talk to, whereas normally you call the IRS and you got to wait and you're lucky to get somebody. If you could just call somebody and know that in the minute you called, you get them because they can fork off different AIs to talk to you, that'd be awesome. And then long term,
would we call it the AIRS?
Yeah, AI. That's a lot of letters, but yes, it would be that. But I think long term, what Martin said, some other people said was, and I think it was Chuck, that this idea of sort of the Internet of Things and everything being connected now makes more sense with AI and the ability to and that gets into like in the short story that I wrote and in the book I'm writing that expands on it, this idea that everything in the world sort of knows that it's there and knows where it is in the world, and everything else sort of knows where it is. And so then there's in the books and stuff, I call it the meta. There's this other layer of information about the world, which is why it's called the meta. And everything will know about it. And I think that's long term where we're going to end up, just because it's already started. And in the end, it makes sense, because once you have that layer, then the virtual reality and the immersion and stuff like that can easily take place because the data is already there.
Thank you. I have a question for you. I believe that when you publish something or you're looking for an ISBN on Amazon, it says, was AI used in any part of creating this document, this book, this text? Do you think that will go away as more and more people use AI in some capacity, as an editor, as a Grammarly, as something that you, at what level can you say no? What do you think, Jason? Will that change at all? Because everybody will be using it in some capacity?
Yeah, I think it'll change. I think it will change in the sense of they won't ask if you used it in some way, because it'll be assumed that you've used AI in some.
What I'm.
But then if it's created exclusively by AI, I think they'll still have a checkbox for that.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Good point. Yes. So the differentiation will be, is it, if it's partial using AI, it's understood, it's acceptable, it's the way it is. But if it's all AI, we still want to know. Right. Interesting. And the question is, will people admit that? Ooh, Bonnie, will they manifest their own writerly skills into Sherry? I'm using the word.
Yeah.
And say, oh, I could have written this. I could have written this, but AI did such a good job. I gave it the title, so it wasn't completely AI. Oh my God.
The same people that are doing plagiarism today will be doing that in the future.
That's
always true. Thank you, Jason. Jason, just tell us the names of a couple of your books in case people want to find you. What have you got?
Oh, okay. Well, there's Writers of the Future, which is an anthology. It's volume 39 I'm in. And then there are a couple books I'm in from Zombie Needs Brains, Familiars. I have a short story in, and I also have one in Imperium. And they're all short story collections. I also have a short story coming out in Shrapnel, which is the official BattleTech magazine, which, as a 1980s BattleTech player, I'm super pumped about. I'm really nerding out about that one.
I think there's a couple people on the panel saying, I want to get that. I want to get that. I can see the smiles. There you go. At least 3 of them on the left side of my screen. I know who you are. Okay, thank you. Serge Hoffmann, our composer extraordinaire. Serge, I'm putting you on speaker view. Please tell us what you've been up to. What in the world does AI have to do with what you're doing? What do you predict? Serge, welcome.
Thank you, Bonnie, for the invitation and the opportunity. It's good to speak after such brilliant people, because it gives ideas. And I said, okay, what I'm going to say after that. But I think it's complementary. On one hand, I'm not using AI for my music composition. Because I could, right? Because, there are a lot of examples. But what is the point? You say, okay, I want a bossa nova with 3 minutes long and 3 instruments. You press the button and voila, right? So what did you do for that? It would not be, what I'm trying to do is something that is relevant for a director, for a feature film, or for an event, or for a special workshop, a special, experience. And this you cannot do with AI. You have to do your own thing. I think, like Jason, you want to create your story, tell the story, the up and down, the tension, the resolution, and so on. And this is why I'm not using that. But I think that, as Martin was saying, and also Chuck, that there will be increase of merging between current technology and AI, meaning large language model and a lot of other things which needs to be trained, okay, but which could be relevant for the business. But also, further to what Sherryanne said, what is important is to not forget the people, right? And I think with the people, there will be 2 categories: those who are able to use or create their own AI system, use it for their benefits, like you're using it, Bonnie, on a daily basis, right? Mm-hmm. Like my daughters are using it for their work and so on. But in the meantime, there will be a change of behavior regarding knowledge, because nobody cares anymore about knowledge. If you want to know something, you just ask and it will come, right? So it means that you have to better know how to use the knowledge and what you want to do with it, and what is your objective and what is your purpose. And I think there will be a new question is, what is my purpose? What is my purpose in my work? What is my purpose in my job, in my company? right? Aparna, I've been 24 years in the company you are in, right? And I know this need for purpose, and we may try to reinvent it. So I think purpose will be one thing. And also, as we will see increased usage of AI throughout the various lines of business, the various type of company, the various tools, the various components of the society, I think there will be some kind of questions about the impact of AI on the society. First, what can we believe or not? Right? It's true or not? Can I believe this picture? Can I believe this audio? Can I believe this film? Can I believe you guys? You're in front of your screen or not? Can I believe you, Bonnie? Well, yeah, because I know you. You know.
I mean, ow! Yes, you can believe me.
What would be the proof that we are talking to humans and not to an AI system, robot, whatever? This is important, and all about fake news and those story, deep fake or whatever, so we have to know that first. And second, there comes the question about the governance of AI, because like each system, I think things like internet and so on, go maybe too far on one hand, and then there needs to be another movement of the balance to get back in terms of moral, of philosophy, of what do we use that for the good of the society, of the people, to keep from doing bad things. And we all know that bad things occur on internet on a daily basis, right? And so I think the question about the governance of AI will come, and is coming as well, hopefully sooner than later. And that's all I wish.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to save my predictions for the end. Let's move on. Thank you, Serge. Serge, do you have any music you could just play for us? Anything you've composed you want to, or should we send people a link to your SoundCloud account?
Your link would be better, because
I'll send you all a link to your SoundCloud account. And I want to thank you for composing the music and singing my song, So You Want to Be, for my Too Saucy Dame and Cool Dude.
Maybe I would like to do it again better, as I said, Bonnie, because it was just a first try. Maybe we can do that better. We take it offline.
I've only played it as the intro and the outro on 45 shows, so it's been played publicly 90 times. I just want you to know my new series. I've done almost as many as this show, but because I'm not on a time schedule, I can do 2 or 3 a week if I want to. So I have to get Chuck and Jason on Cool Dude, right? And Chiara and Aparna, I want to get you on the Too Saucy Dame, if you can consider yourself a saucy dame like me, because and Sherry's a saucy dame. There we go. Thank you, Serge. Aparna is up next, and Aparna and I are going to collaborate on this. Are you going to unmute your mic? And I'm going to read the prediction she sent me. She had some surgery, and she's here. And we appreciate your showing up, Aparna. You look wonderful. I don't know how you feel, but you look beautiful. So I'm going to read your first one, and then you can chime in with some comments if you'd like. Okay. So Aparna's first prediction is clinical trials. AI will be used extensively to check and validate clinical trial outcomes across various demographics, like extrapolating the results across various groups and addressing the current diversity challenges while extending to include real work data. Aparna, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, clinical trials is going to be the first, I would say, in life sciences who would be using AI extensively. We have seen in COVID times where certain medications are not suitable for certain demographic of the population. Maybe the dosage should be less for women, dosage should be different for different origins. So this biodiversity, though it's kind of mandated to be used in clinical trials, it's still not extensively used because it's very difficult to reach out to those populations to get those biodiversity in the clinical trials. So this is one, I would say, one area where AI will really help understanding what kind of population is already subscribed to the clinical trials, whether it is effective, and also extrapolating those results. So if there are 10 clinical trial results composing of only 3 demographics, but also extrapolating it further to man, women, diversity, age, these factors are really not done accurately in today's world. So that is one thing which will take a boom, and also incorporating real world data. So you have evidence once the clinical trial goes into live, building that back into your model of how you can really substantiate the next phase of the clinical trial. I think that's a significant game changer in clinical trials.
Okay, let's go to number 2, supply chain. She predicts AI will enable accurate forecast mechanisms for drug manufacturing, taking into account, listen up everybody, seasonal variations, transportation lines, right, Chuck? And unprecedented changes like global unrest. Oh my, Aparna, talk to me.
Yeah, this is, I think, supply chain. People talk about forecasting models because of the large data, AI, historical, but there are many other global variants which are still not taken into consideration to avoid Suez Canal kind of things. If there is a global unrest, how do you quickly change your supply chain strategy from one region to other region, and how do you effectively still do in the same price range, right? And also looking at seasonal variations. If there is a certain demand for a certain product only in a season, but not throughout. So how do you bring that into consideration? And there are dependent demands as well. If the chocolates are a hit for Halloween, there must be wrappers that have to be manufactured, and wrappers have to need labels on it. So there is a seasonal and dependent demand as well. So taking those into consideration and predicting your strengthening your supply chain, I think that's going to be a game changer in supply chain across many industries, and particularly in life sciences. I would say that is going to be a game changer because your supply chain is very much dependent on procuring your active ingredients from different sources and different regions. And if there is a global unrest, you cannot procure API or critical substance. So how do you quickly triage your supply chain onto a different area, still keep your clinical trial and your drug disposition in base? So you're going to see a lot of changes on that. I'm expecting it. Touch wood.
Thank you. Number 3, healthcare, which is your specialty field. AI is going to take over disease prediction, predisposition of a particular disease, enabling practitioners to prescribe personalized treatments. There we go. Aparna, talk.
Yeah. That's going to be, again, a very big change in healthcare, I would say, which comes up in the next 1 to 2 years. We'll start seeing that. A typical example is me. I'm a small person, and the amount of painkillers that sometimes doctor prescribe, I don't need that. I need a smaller prescription of ibuprofen, not 800 mg. Maybe it's only 400 mg I need it. So it should be personalized and not really as per what your disease says. And this personalized treatment is only possible when you have the artifacts of the medicine as well as what your patient is, and you are able to see that and correlate that and able to prescribe the right medication. So all these data sets have to come together to the doctor at the point of the issue of the prescription. That's only when they can make the right decision. So pulling all these data sources in front of the doctor when he's really prescribing it, that's going to be a game changer. And I don't think it's very far off. All the data elements, it's actually pulling those together to be able to give really a personalized treatment to the patient.
That will be a game changer for health. And last one, your prediction is manufacturing operations. Application of AI is going to bring tangible benefits in this area, enabling shop floor to procure alternative ingredients based on time, cost, and quality constraints, thereby supporting faster to market delivery of medications. Aparna?
Yeah, this is again connecting with supply chain. So you have supply chain which can plan, but manufacturing and operations also have to look for what is the best way, best quality you can get out of the product. So all this is again dependent hugely on data, not only you have, but also what your other parties in this organization has. Maybe it's a contract manufacturer, maybe it's a supplier. So pulling all those data elements together to be able to make the right decision. I think supply chain and manufacturing are going to see a lot of benefit only if you put it in the right way, in right usage of AI.
Thank you very much. Anybody comments or questions for Aparna? All good? I think we heard some good news in there for health. Thank you very much.
Stuff.
Yes. Chiara, you're here. After 25 tries to get a good network, you're on your phone. You look wonderful. You're in the bottom half of the phone, but we can see you. I'm putting you on speaker view so everybody can see that fabulous jacket. I want a version of that for Chuck for his Santa Claus look. We're going to have to, I'll do it in AI. Go ahead, Chiara. What are your predictions, please? Go.
Well, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a human, focused on human and on people, just like Sherry. So rather than prediction, I'm looking at what is happening today. And I heard that I heard an interview recently by the Financial Times mentioning that about 2/3 of our desk work population is not using AI yet. So that got me thinking that there is a definite need for adoption. Mm-hmm. We're not getting anywhere unless people skills and understand what is there. just to make it more practical, if AI is a Ferrari, we need to have driving lessons to make sure people know how to use it. And we need roads. And the roads in that case is data that can provide people with the right context around it. And that applies across all the prediction we just heard. My hope is that we're going to outgrow the both the alarmism that has been going on for a long time and the marketing hype, and start looking at how the collaboration between the human and AI can work in a way that means, what isn't it? How will I use AI to make my workload easier? We start hearing all the AI agents, which are going out of the pure ChatGPT, give me a text, and moving into an actionable, actually, and acting out a set of things. Something I heard recently, for instance, an example could be, security. There are plenty of companies who actually hire white hat hackers to try to break in. Well, that could be done, for instance, by a friendly AI which, with permission of the firm, and try to break down the entry to make sure that the security is all over. That's just an example. And that's it. That is literally an agent AI that takes an action and give the feedback to the human, to the corporation, to the people around. To some extent, we go back to what Aparna was saying a moment ago about being used in healthcare. The same thing, an agent AI who's able to make a prescription that is adapted to the person. So it goes beyond being purely a research acceleration, which is essentially what we use it today as. We use ChatGPT to get faster and quicker information about something, and go into something that really acts on our behalf, but under our control. And how we will build that trust, that's the most interesting part. And that's where I am at.
Thank you.
We need to get there. And by the way, charrette, you know where it comes from?
No.
It means cart, right? And it's because the great schools of architecture, when they actually threw out a good project, the last 24 hours, everybody works through the night. And at the last minute, students were pushing there with a cart to carry all their paperwork and models and everything. So that's why it became a charrette.
Thank you.
Si je suis sur une charrette, c'est que j'ai travaillé toute la nuit. If I am on charrette, I worked all night.
I had a relative who went to Harvard Architecture, and they had charrettes all the time, where it was 24 hours to deliver a project. Chuck has his finger up, the right finger. Chuck, go. What do you want to say?
I really resonate with Chiara's comments about agents. I think that they're probably the next big step in AI after all this generative large language model stuff. And I'll even say, I'll go even out on a little bit more of a limb there and say that within a couple of years, those people who today, call maybe Microsoft support on the phone, and it's like, oh, I want to talk to a human, push 0, try to get to somebody who really knows the answer rather than all this purgatory of AI chatbots. I think in a couple of years that'll flip, and people will want the quick response and authoritative view and customized answers that you get from an AI-based agent. So you're not going to push 0 to get to an AI agent. You're going to push to get to a human. You're going to preferentially push 2 to get to that AI thing, because that's where you're going to get the most efficient answers. It's not quite there yet, but I think it's inevitable, and it's going to pervade a lot of these sort of mundane interactions that you have on a lot of different places, which might mean that customer service agents are no longer the growth area that they used to be.
Ooh. Thank you. I want to, Chiara, you were echoing my thoughts when you started out. First of all, I'll borrow the Ferrari for the weekend. Thank you very much. As far as training people on AI, the right roadways, the right tools, I'm hoping, I'm not predicting, I'm hoping that we will have a dissipation or a reduction in the AI haters slash fearers next year. I have been attacked verbally and in emails and in chats by people who are appalled that I have the audacity, I don't use that program, to create things like the beautiful crystal ball with the red microphone you see on my background here. I also use Photoshop to position those against a starry background and add the text. I'm the human. All the poems I read in the opening, I do 2 to 4 to 5, I still call them radio shows a week. Let's say 9 guests, each send me a bio of 300 to 400 words. Do you know how long it would take me to synthesize that to get a 6-line poem? So I send ChatGPT maybe 1,000 characters of bios. Here's Chuck's dash and dash, Sherryanne's and dash, Jason's and within 2 seconds, Sylvia, my virtual assistant, she lets me call her that, La Sylvie, she sends back the core of the poem. Then I go to work as the human. I put it in my notes. I compare it to the bio. Did she hit the high points? Did she honor the person the way I want to honor them as my guest? Did the rhymes work for me? Were there too many repetitive end rhyme words? And I do the finessing of it. So it's a collaboration. So Chiara, I really appreciate what you said, but I'm hoping for me that fewer people will attack me. 4 minutes will close. Thank you, Jordan. I did a show with some of my poetry friends on one of my other series. And when I read the opening poem, I elicited or generated absolute horrible hatred from the one person on the show who told her friends to attack me on YouTube that I had the audacity to mention poetry, and I do all my poetry as a human, and the word AI in the same sentence. And people were coming at me from people I'd never heard of. So I'm hoping we'll be a little gentler and kinder, Chiara and everybody, because people will learn there's nothing to fear. Are you using the thesaurus in Microsoft Word? That's a tool, right? Are you using editing on your phone or on your computer for the photography you take? That's a tool. It's just another tool. So that's my hope. Let's go around the table. 3 minutes. Thank you, Jordan. I want to know and by the way, you all very well behaved. I love the predictions. I want you all to get together and sing Kumbaya or something. But I want you, seriously, I think there's some intersections here of brilliance among all of you to meet and greet each other. I want to know quickly, what are you drinking? Favorite holiday drink? We got to go real 20 seconds a person. Martin, go.
Glühwein, hot wine, spiced.
Glühwein. Okay, I'll take that. Chuck, what are you drinking for the holiday?
I invented a new drink to honor my Wisconsin heritage. We drink old fashions with brandy in Wisconsin. It's just a thing that we do. But I decided that they were a little mundane with that Angostura bitter stuff that they usually make them out of. So I found these cranberry bitters.
Ooh.
And instead of the simple syrup that goes in, I use just a little splash of grenadine. So it's got this sort of cranberry pomegranate thing going.
Red.
And it's a beautiful festive color, which is useful for Christmas, but also useful for Wisconsin Badger football games, which lately I need to get a little drunk. So there you go.
Thank you. Okay, a confession there. Sherryanne, what are you drinking for the holidays?
Lots of different things, but I like hot chocolate with some peanut butter liqueur in it.
Ooh, what's the name of the peanut butter liqueur? Where do you find that?
I will look that up and I will send it to you.
Please send it to me.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds good. Jason, what's in your mug, cup, stein, or thermos for the holidays?
I do boring old eggnog. So I will add things to it. Things, yes.
Things. Okay, thank you. Serge, what do you, comment ça va pour les anniversaires? Anyway, what are you drinking for the holidays?
I like something a little bit close to what Sherryanne said is hot chocolate with Grand Marnier.
Very, very good.
Very
Très
nice.
bien. Oh, délicieux. Okay. Aparna, what are you drinking for the holidays?
Mulled wine. My Swedish friends makes that mulled wine, so I'm going to take that.
Ooh, sounds
Also
good.
lovely.
And Chiara, what's in your cup for the holidays?
I'm boring. I'm sorry. If I celebrate, it's going to be with bubbles. It's going to be
Bubbles.
champagne.
That's not boring, dear. That's very festive, very festive. And I'm in the hot chocolate gang, and I like to make it with just a tiny. I found a bottle of gold rum that's still here after years. I keep moving, and the bottle keeps coming with me. Who knew? A drop of that, and a little bit maybe of cinnamon on top, and some fresh whipped cream. I have one of those not whiskers, not Chuck, the thing you whisk and you have a battery in it and you put it in the cream in a little cold container and go, and in 30 seconds you have the most fabulous. And I pour a little bit of sugar on top of that or agave syrup and top it on my hot chocolate. And that's really good. I want you all to put up your finger. No, no, no. Come on. We're going to do the no, no, no exercise. Everybody on the count of 3, join me in yelling, no, no, no. People say the future is already here. Well, almost maybe a little bit, but really 1, 2, 3. No, 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 no. What a group. And don't go away after we stop. Because the future we're talking about is yet to come. And I'm asking all of you, let's all be part of making 2025 a better, kinder year. Thank you. Bonnie D signing off. Everybody, next week, the 11th of December, week 2 with 7 more wonderful futurists joining me on the show. So don't go away. Jordan, are we out?